So on March 14 this year, my mother had a massive heart attack. In the morning, she was cooking, and on that specific day, all my brothers were at home. They would usually be working.
My children would come to the house, not all at the time. Not all at the time. That morning happened, so I feel like cooking fish curry. And I managed to finish my complete cooking.
Around 12 o'clock, all of a sudden she felt this pain on her left arm. And when it was paining, immediately she felt this really numbness from entire left arm.
I'm pinching myself. Very funny today. I never had any symptom of this heart attack. After that, I just continued my working, doing my work. And then, wow, I cannot forget the heart attack.
And she didn't know what to do. She didn't want to panic anybody. So what she did is that she went upstairs and then she called me. So when I went to the room, she started crying. She said, I've never felt pain like this before. And we took her to our nearest clinic. And the moment she stepped into the clinic, she became like a vegetable. The nurse rushes into the room and say, quickly take her to the hospital because she's having something serious. They didn't tell us that she's having a massive heart attack. We reached to the hospital emergency room. That's when the emergency doctor told us that, I'm sorry to inform you, but your mother is having a massive heart attack. And I got the shock of my life. And that's when they asked us, do you know any doctors here? I said, yes, I know Dr. Ng Sungan. He was not in. So is it okay for them to call the son, Dr. Ernest? I said, Ken, whoever it is, I just want them to come and give my mother the medical attention that she needs. And not even 5 minutes, Dr. Ng Sungan is walking into the ward.
And then doctor came in time. He touched my toe. Chandra, I'm your doctor here. I cannot speak because it's very tired for me to speak. The doctor said, okay, you are in my hand. God is with you, don't worry. Yes, God is with me.
So immediately they took her into the angiogram. We were all waiting in the waiting room for 45 minutes. So we were all praying, crying until Dr. Ng Sungan came out, went in, and that's when he explained it together with his son, Dr. Ernest. So my mother had 3 blocks. 2 of them were below 40%, and the other one, which was 90%, so that was the one that caused her the massive heart attack. They said that they had to put a stent in the 90% block so that she is fine, she's doing okay, and she's stabilized now, she can breathe well. And my sister stayed back in the hospital, so she was sleeping in the waiting room. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I received a call from my sister, a very panicked call. She was crying and saying that quickly come to the hospital. They're saying that mom is having possibly a second heart attack. And I got the shock of my life. I'm like, what? Everything just happened, They did everything for her. How can she have a second heart attack? And I got so afraid. And this is when I thought that I was going to lose her, that I'm not going to have her anymore. They found out it was not a heart attack, praise the Lord, it was not a second heart attack. It was because her lungs were filled with water. Then they took her to ICU. They put for her this really big ventilator, and she could not breathe on her own at that time. She was only breathing I think it was about 30 or 40% of herself, and the rest was the ventilator that was supporting. We were crying and praying, and then came Dr. Ng Sungan. He held our hands and he prayed. And once he was done, he told us, he said, don't forget the God that you're worshiping, the God that you are praying to. He's a powerful God and everything is possible to him. Keep believing that a miracle would happen. And then at about 2 p.m., the nurse comes out and they said that her BP was going low and they had to insert the BP line into her left leg. If they don't do it, then all her other organs would shut down and eventually it would be worse. And then they told us that if your mother passed through this entire night, then she survives. So we prayed the entire night. We called our home fellowship and asked them to pray as well. I called Pastor Anand, I called whoever I could call in the youth ministry to keep praying for my mother. And praise the Lord, we received a really good news at 7 o'clock next day in the morning. We received that mom is fine, her heart is beating well, and everything is stable. Her BP is stable, she's completely fine, she's breathing well. And that's when they changed from the big ventilator, they gave her the small oxygen machine. After that happened, because throughout this entire process, she could not speak, she could not open her eyes and see, And on that day, when we received the good news, she's talking, she's asking, how are y'all? Did y'all eat the fish curry that I did? God is so good that He has saved her life and that He has brought her and gave her back to us, because we thought that this was it. It is because of the doctors that He has given and people that have prayed for her that she is now alive.